2, 3. Alright, oh, that sucked. I'm embarrassed. Thank you.
Alright, here we go. I gotta take over for you, Tony. What's wrong?
This never happens to me, I swear.
I am Leanne Palmer, your very happy, sparkly little fairy.
And I'm Tony Toon, and I guess I'm a walrus. I don't know, that was pretty pathetic. Anyway, know what's really pathetic? We don't know how many citizens we have.
Living in the United States.
Yeah. Well, we do, but...
Well, we kind of do, but we kind of don't. We
Yeah.
know how many citizens... We can kind of guesstimate how many citizens there are. How many citizens of the U.S. there are. We don't know how many of them are living in the U.S. And apparently the Supreme Court says that putting the question on the census, the arguments were invalid.
Yeah,
came from a wrong stance or something convoluted like that.
Yeah. So they said it was legal to be on there, but the arguments behind it and the motivations behind it were wrong, which Supreme Court, you done fucked up, because that's not your duty to interpret intentions or reasoning behind it. You're there to
say yes or no. Is it legal?
Is it legal?
Is it constitutional or not?
Yeah. I don't... Because a census is one of... I think it's Congress that actually issues the census. It's one of Congress's duties.
Well, it doesn't actually... it's one of the things that is listed in the Constitution that has to be done constitutionally every 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can't off the top of my head
pretty
say
sure it is
who
Congress.
issues it.
I'm pretty sure it is Congress.
Whether it's the executive board or the legislative, the executive branch or the legislative branch.
It would make sense if it was Congress, because that's how you determine representatives and electoral votes.
Right, that's how you
So
determine the districting and
so
representation.
I'm pretty sure it's Congress is obligated to do that at least every 10 years, and there is a clause in there that if a plague or something, they can do another one.
Right, that they can do it again if needed.
Yeah.
In between then, because
Yeah.
I know that we did one in.
I like how I went straight to plague and not like a population boom, but whatever. That's how I think. Please God, just smite one city. Anyway, moving on.
Well, we were just talking about California falling into the ocean.
Yes. Just one.
So what are your thoughts on the question, are you a citizen being on the census?
Obviously, I think it should be on there. It's clear what's going on to me. People in the Democrat Party, states like, especially California, don't want it on there because they can lose certain districts. They could lose federal funding because they have people in there, but they're not U.S. citizens. Then they could also lose representatives.
Okay.
Which California is especially worried about that, because California, as we know, is losing U.S. resident population. I don't know if you count the illegals, all the illegals in there, if it's balanced out, but people are
fleeing California.
Are fleeing California, and same thing for New York City and New York. People are starting to move out of these big states, these heavily populated states, and there's a chance with the next census that California might lose a representative to, and therefore lose an electoral vote or two. Same with New York. They're pretty certain it's going to happen with California. They think it might happen with New York.
Right. So I watched the news coverage on this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at both sides of the argument. And they're saying that on one side, it could cost some states representatives because it's about representation, and that if they don't answer the question, then people won't be counted, and we won't know how many people are in the U.S. and then there are others that will set, because I think what they're saying is that if they're illegal, they're less likely to answer the question and less likely to do the census.
Yeah. But then my question is,
but here's the thing, it doesn't say, they haven't said anything, the government, Trump, Congress hasn't said anything about any other question than, are you a U.S. citizen? It doesn't say, are you legally here?
mm-hmm.
Are you illegally here? That's not a question on there. It just says, are you a U.S. citizen?
Mm.
So, really, in my mind, it does two things. It tells us how many citizens we have living in the U.S. versus how many citizens we have living outside the U.S. Because I know a lot of U.S. citizens live in places like France and Britain and Canada.
Mm-hmm. And it'll give us an idea of how many immigrants are here.
Right, and it'll give us an idea of how many legal immigrants are here.
Mm-hmm.
And how many citizens versus non-citizens are actually living in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, because I know, just from having lived in California, that a lot of, especially in Hollywood, a lot of people in Hollywood are not U.S. citizens, but they're here legally for work purposes, and they have work visas to do movies and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And...
well, I mean, all over the country, there's a lot of people.
Right, there's a lot of people all over the country that are here legally. And I think we should know how many
there are
legal immigrants there are as well.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily say, are you a citizen? Yes, no. If no, are you here legally? And it just says, are you a U.S. citizen? So they can't really go off and deport you if you say no, because you could be here quite legally and still not be a U.S. citizen.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind the census. I don't like a lot of the questions they do ask, like ethnicity. I don't like that. It should be. I don't have a problem with the U.S. citizen question. It should be, as far as I'm concerned, it should when the census counter, I guess, or whatever, or you get the form, whatever. It should be one page. It should be head of the household, heads in the household, names, maybe U.S. citizens, non-U.S. citizens, and that's it. There shouldn't be any of this ethnicity shit or gender shit or any of that.
Okay.
Because all that does is help divide us. That's why I'm putting Kekistani on the next one.
Okay, so I think you're talking about the short form, and there is one of those.
Yeah.
Not every U.S. citizen during the census fills out the long form. And I agree with you on most of that. I disagree.
Well, maybe they should put sex on there
Right.
Because you need
We
you need
need
an approximation of the men of fighting age.
Exactly. We need to know how many male versus females we have. And the other question that is generally on the U.S. Census that I agree with is age. At the time you're taking the census, or at the end of the year of which the census is being done. Because that gives a demographic picture of the U.S. It's how we know... It's how we knew that there was a baby boom going on during the baby boom, and how baby boomers didn't have as many kids until later in life, and that's why Gen X is so small.
Yeah.
So those kinds of questions, I believe, are valid and should be on the census. I believe that we should be asking about U.S. citizenship. Some of the questions on the long form, I think,
are
unnecessary and divisive intentionally.
Yeah.
If you're born in America, you're an American.
Yeah. Woo.
And I was having this conversation. You're gonna like this. You're really gonna like this. I was having this conversation with Ezra last night, and I have decided that Caucasian is a racist term.
Okay, I want to hear the logic behind this, because it just means from the Caucasus Mountains, but okay.
And not all white people are from the Caucasus or have ties back to the Caucasus.
I was actually thinking about that the other day. Yeah.
So by looking at me and saying I'm Caucasian just because I'm white is racist.
I mean, what we're basically saying is that the alt-right is right, and that Italians are not white people. That's one of the things they actually argue.
I will admit I did an Ancestry DNA kit just over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it came back, and I am the whitest white girl on this planet.
Yeah. Well, the alt-right would actually argue you're not white either, because they don't think Celtic people are white.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I came back English. Mostly, it was like 86% English, Irish, Welsh. Or no, English, Scottish, Welsh, which is the British Isles.
Mm-hmm.
Which they do count as white.
Not to the alt-right.
Came back a small percentage of Irish. And came back a small percentage of Eastern Norwegian.
That's white.
That's white. That's white. But there was absolutely no ties to the Caucasus whatsoever in my genetic makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Which means looking at me and telling me I'm Caucasian, I think is racist. Because not all white people are racist.
Hashtag not all.
Not all white people. Sorry, not all white people.
That's how much is getting beaten into our minds.
Right, not all white people are racist. Let me say that. But not all white people are Caucasian. So, I think if somebody's looking at me and telling me I have to check Caucasian on the census, that's racist.
That's why you gotta put Kekistani. Chatelet.
I'm an American. I was born in the United States of America. I am an American. I am an American citizen.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I got into the Kekistani meme, is because it is going to be a protest of how the census is done. Well, we've talked about that.
Yeah, we have.
And that's one of the big reasons. And I mean, I've been talking about that for a freaking while. It just pisses me off.
Told you you'd like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm maybe we can turn this around and turn ourselves into a marginalized group and get protections.
I like this.
Yeah, somehow we can do this.
I like this plan.
I do like it whenever I'm arguing online and there's just someone ranting about white people, and it's like, okay, what specifically about white people don't you like? And it's like this. I like this idea that white people have no culture or whatever, and it's like
wrong.
There's Germanic culture, there's English culture, there's Frank culture,
there's Norwegian culture, Nordic culture, Celtic culture.
And there is an argument maybe to separate Italian and Spanish and Greek from specifically white and more Mediterranean.
Right, because
I consider them white.
There's the Iberian Peninsula, which is kind of that Spanish, French area and Italian, and I think that does count as different.
Yeah.
Because
it's definitely, I mean, the cultures are very mixed, though. I mean, obviously.
Right. European culture in general has become very mixed.
North African, you get a lot of European influences, and so I mean, you can say it either way, and then I always think it's kind of sad when because I've talked to a few black supremacists, and one of the big they fall into two camps. There's the ones who are just making shit up, like Leonardo da Vinci was black. Yes, there's a few of them. Or
don't we have paintings of Leonardo da Vinci?
Whatever. Yeah, they fall into two camps. There's those ones.
Okay.
And then there's the ones that don't think they don't have any culture at all aside from being a slave. And it's like, okay, you're ignoring the Zulu, you're ignoring Ethiopia. I can't pronounce Azabania or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You're ignoring the Mali.
Right.
You're ignoring some pretty significant. I mean, especially the Mali. The Mali were they were a very powerful and rich civilization for about 200 years. They rivaled any. I mean, they definitely rivaled any European power at the time, and they at the time it was the Muslim cultures that were really powerful, and they rivaled them. So I mean, they were a very powerful civilization for a very long time until they had a civil war and the whites began their colonization. They had a civil war, then the whites colonized, and it was all down there from there.
Well,
But anyways,
anytime you're in the middle of a civil war and another culture or country shows up,
you're in bad shape.
You're in bad shape, and I think that's going to be America's problem in a few years.
I know because we've talked about this, and I've been saying civil war for a while, even before it kind of became mainstream. And me and your roommate Ezra, we've talked about that quite a bit. We've talked about it quite a bit. But I'm actually kind of falling off the Civil War train. I do think we're heading towards a period of massive civil unrest. I don't think there's going to be armies having at each other, but I do think there's going to be some cracked skulls, to put it very lightly.
I would argue that in modern day America, that could be termed a civil war. That you would have the right versus the left.
Well, some people are already calling the culture war a civil war.
Right. The right versus the left in guerrilla warfare tactics with no real battle lines is still a civil war.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to see, especially even more now with Antifa and the Proud Boys fighting more and more on the streets, although
which is
thankfully that might
scary and bothersome.
That might be getting cracked down on. That'll be a video topic. I'm very happy that shit. Yeah.
Maybe next week, so we can do a little more research on it.
Oh, you want to do it next week? Okay.
Well, we only record once a week.
Yeah. Well, we were gonna do that. I was gonna do that next video.
Oh, okay. Then okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What you guys will see is tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it does look like some people are starting to realize that maybe Antifa aren't the good guys. Like, fucking God. Like, Jesus Christ. I could have told you that freaking 19 years ago. But that's not the point. Anyways.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of friends on Facebook who claim to be not necessarily Antifa, but anti-fascist, which is what Antifa stands for. And they have posted things like, if you aren't willing to punch a fascist or a Nazi in the face, then just go ahead and drop me off your Facebook and don't be friends with me anymore. But isn't that exactly what the fascists said?
What do you mean?
Like, so fascism is, as say like Hitler and Mussolini and them came to power, it was, you believe what I believe, or you say you believe what I believe.
It was a moral state, yes.
Right. And that's basically what a lot of my Facebook friends are saying.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that's starting to fall out of favor.
Okay.
Hopefully, I think we're beginning to see the turn of the tide against that, because we're beginning to see mainstream sources. But that's what I was going to talk about next video.
Okay. That's good because don't get me wrong. I do not back Hitler. I do not back Mussolini. I do
Obviously.
not back the Nazis or the neo-Nazis. I don't even believe the same things they believe.
Yeah,
It's
I'll get into it later.
Wait, watch tomorrow's video.
Anyways, I even forget what this video was supposed to be about beginning with. Because we veered so much off topic.
Oh, we were talking about the census question.
Oh, yes.
And then I got into Caucasian is a racist term.
It is racist. I'm offended. And therefore, corporations have to pander to me.
Because I am white, but I'm not Caucasian.
That's right.
I have DNA evidence.
I might be Caucasian. I don't know. I don't trust those things. You know, they did share they shared the data with the FBI, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. If you didn't know that, and if you don't know that, those DNA tests, they share the data with the FBI. So.
Well, not just the FBI, but every other intelligence service, because it has become a genetic pool of genetic information
Yeah.
in which, if they find DNA evidence at a crime scene anywhere, they can pull it up and match it against these databases.
Oh yeah, they're certainly not making any weapons out of it. Anyways.
Right, Tony.
You think I'm crazy?
But I had other reasons for doing my DNA test, which you and I have discussed on previous videos.
Yeah.
But one of the things I did find interesting is that everybody keeps calling all white people Caucasian, and I'm like, but I have no ties to the Caucasus whatsoever, anywhere in my genetic DNA, in my genetic makeup. So I've decided Caucasian is a racist term.
So does that make you a Neanderthal?
I don't know. It makes me whatever it was that came out of the British Isles.
A Neanderthal? I've actually thought about that, like, if how big of a forehead I got and all that. It's like sometimes looking at it, it's like, but yeah, I do have some Neanderthal blood in me. But anyways.
Anyway, on that note, before we get too far off topic again,
Yes.
I think that covers everything on the census question and that topic.
Yes.
So, like, subscribe, hit the share button, share this video with your friends. Don't forget the notification bell so that you know when new videos go up every day.
Yes. Get us to 10.
10. That's all we want. 10.
10.
That's our goal right now.
We've been
10.
doing this a couple videos. Might be at 10 already, in which case, congratulations.
Yay!
But I doubt it.
If we make it to 10 by, next Monday when we're doing more videos,
I
we'll
will
let you
have
guys know.
Yes, and I will have a little celebration.
And then comment in the or in the comment section below. Put anything comments that you'd like us for future topics. Tell us what you think about the citizenship question on the census.
Yes.
And hashtag Caucasian is racist.
It is. She's convinced me. We're oppressed.
We are.
We are oppressed. And on that note,
Well, no, I wouldn't say that we're oppressed, but we are definitely.
we are a marginalized minority.
If you are white with a non-Caucasian lineage, you are mislabeled. At the very least.
Enraging. They don't even care about not enough about us to give us our own fucking label.
Right?
God.
Because not all white
Just
people.
one city.
Not all white people are Caucasian, and not all white people are racist. Yeah. We can edit the rest, all of that out, right? You're like, no, we're
No,
not.
we're
Okay.
leaving it in. We're leaving into my pathetic clap at the beginning too.
Okay. So yeah, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, share our videos, leave your comments, let us know what you think, and we will see you later.
Bye, everybody.